Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. This is race number 12 on the season, getting ready to go green here tonight at the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame. This is Darlington Raceway. We'll see here tonight who's going to get a checkered flag and who's going to leave with the maybe most famous souvenir in all of racing, and that is the famed Darlington stripe. I'm Seth Cole, and making his FRN booth debut here tonight, joining me, Matt McIntyre. First off, Matt, welcome. And I mean, here this evening, these drivers have a tough task for them, obviously coming off a couple of tracks all about tire conservation, but it's a different animal when you come to this particular one, right?
Yeah, I just want to first off say thanks, Seth, for letting me join you in this. And second off, yeah, it just seems like it's going to be a pretty good race. Just hope nobody, everybody's aware of each other's zones and doesn't wreck into turn one.
It'll be 129 laps for these drivers here this evening as we cycle through the field here. The pace car makes the left-hand turn to pit road. It was Peter Smintena getting his first career pole position on the season alongside of Randall Coleman. And let's get these drivers ready to go racing under the lights at Darlington Raceway. And it's going to clear for the lead. Jumps up to the top side there on Randall Coleman. Matt Watkins going to run in the third position. Darlington, whoa, got a car hard in the wall back there.
He looks to be the 94 of Jessica Shelton.
And the 64 of Tony Roberson. You saw there when we panned to the pace car, no lights on, so no caution coming out for that. We remain green. Just going to mention, it's Darlington Raceway. It's throwback night. A lot of drivers throwing back to different drivers on the NASCAR circuit. Got a couple that are throwing it back to some off-road vehicles, and there's a few in the field here as well. They're actually throwing it back to schemes that they ran back in the day in their 2003 online career. We'll be highlighting them during the course of the day, but no caution for that incident off of turn 2. We remain green. Spintana's got a rear deck lid, though, full of Randall Coleman in the 9, who comes into this race the defending winner from last week. A little bit of controversy surrounding the finish of that Dover race, which we will cover pretty soon. But right now, it looks like everybody, at least top 5, 6, 7, 8, they've got themselves single filed, and that's what we kind of expected to see, right? I mean, obviously, in the early going, double file, everybody's trying to get every position they can, but then it settles out into little 1 versus 1 battles, because you have to battle the racetrack just as much as you do have to battle your competition.
I think the 12 might have gotten cut up in that wreck because he's just coming off pit road.
That would be Sean Whitehill. There he is. JTN Ford Mustang, and actually I'm wondering if he might have started from pit road. 2 laps down right now is where he is scored, so we'll follow up on that. He'll obviously be hoping for a couple of cautions to come out to get back on the lead lap, as third place battle has been really good the last couple of laps, and Alex Moe is going to take the spot. He was hounding Matt Watkins on that inside line, completes the pass, and now gets a good run to the top side on Randall Coleman. And Darlington is one of those tracks where it's really going to be all about track position as well, because it's so difficult, especially on the long run, to make passes. Now Mo gonna go for second place there. He seems to be hooking that bottom line. We know that the double white line down there is a guideline for drivers to know where the banking ends and the apron basically starts, but you don't necessarily have to apply to those guidelines of keeping your left sides above it or keeping all 4 tires above it. It's not like the double yellow line at Daytona or Talladega, so expect to see a lot of drivers utilize that area down below the dotted white line, especially if it comes down to maybe making a move for the race win late in this race.
Okay, I just happened to look back, and it appears the 12 fell out and took a couple laps to come back.
Oh, Sean Whitehill will...
Oh,
Smintana! Oh, hard hit for Jacob Smintana right in front of John Foreman. That for sure is going to be a caution as others pile in. Murata is involved. Foreman is upside down. Cody Luke is involved. The entire track is blockaded up in turn 1. Wow, that was a big wreck, and that started around the 7th position. Smetana, the multi-time winner this season, that car just snapped loose, and Foreman had absolutely nowhere to go as we look back at a replay.
Yeah, it looks like he just went down, flipped where it flattens out under the white dotted line and just couldn't control it.
Something we have to bear in mind here this evening, these drivers, they are running Cup cars, but it is CTS physics, lower RPMs, and on occasion as well, usually the cars stay looser longer on the early run. And to your point, yeah, he got the left front down below that dotted white line, but maybe a little bit surprised that that caused the back end of the car to step out. I would have thought that that transition from the apron to the banking, if anything, would have made that car plow tight and sent him straight up the racetrack. So very interesting spin out there for the 42, and he kind of got away unscathed. It was the car behind him, the 70 of John Foreman, who really paid the price.
Yeah, Foreman went up, hit the wall head first, and then got clipped by a couple other cars on the way by. And just, as typical Darlington, they just started piling in.
That was Greg Lavelle, 088, that flipped John Foreman over. Also saw the 33 of Jeffrey Goodpaster. He was collected. Ryan Lusk in the 83. He got a piece of it. See if we can take an onboard here with someone that would have been right in the vicinity, the 8 of Cody Luke. That Budweiser Chevrolet Camaro, I believe he did get collected up in it as well, but let's see exactly what he saw. And we talk about how difficult it is to pass here at Darlington. It's just as equally difficult, especially with the tight corners here, to be able to avoid a wreck when and if it happens. Looked like, Matt, we had some 50-50s of drivers slowing up and drivers not slowing up. Some drivers, the mentality of, preserve the race car even if you lose a couple of spots. And other drivers seeing that smoke and realizing, hey, those are positions I could pick up right here, and maybe not lifting as much as they should have.
Yeah, like I'm looking back and I'm seeing the 55 car just right between a spinning uh 30 feet and the 8 of Cody Luke just barely avoiding. Oh nope, he did get a little spun out a little bit there. So he got collected.
At caution, a big break for Sean Whitehill, as you alluded to, fell out of the server, came back in, was 2 laps down. He's the recipient of the lucky dog under this caution, so less than 10 laps in, and he is now going to be -1 to the race leaders. John Foreman in the 70, looks like he is going to be able to continue, but he has lost at least a lap here under pacing, may lose more before we end up going back green. Let's talk real quick about last week at Dover. We ended up seeing that Dunlap-Pratt crossed the start-finish line as the race leader, but there was a lot of debate on whether or not he ended up throwing an illegal block on that last green flag run, which per fast rules would put him EOL in the finishing results. Several admins went back, looked at it, and deemed that indeed it was an illegal block out of the allotted time where blocking was considered legal, and so therefore he was sent to the rear of the lead lap, finishing 15th, and Randall Coleman got awarded the race victory. So Randall Coleman picking up his 2nd win on the season, of course winning the season opener at Daytona, and he's looking maybe for back-to-back here tonight, 3 on the season, as he's in that Kyle Petty throwback number 9, 2nd here on this upcoming restart behind the 43 of Peter Smetana. Alex Moe, Matt Watkins, Thomas Philbrick, that's the top 5. James Moore, Nick Gunther, Ryan Lusk, Sean Romero, and Bill Martin. That's going to be the top 10 when we go back green. And it would appear, with the lights out here, we are doing single file restarts here tonight. I kind of like that call, to be honest, just knowing how tight these corners are here at Darlington. I think double wide is just asking for more yellow flags to fly.
Yeah, just like we kind of saw in the real Cup race, going 2 and 3 wide into some of these corners just has a big wreck. So I agree. I like the decision here.
Back under green on lap 12 of 129. There was a big gap from third place Alex Moe back to fourth place Matt Watkins. Not sure what was going on there. The gap is now closed up through 1 and 2. Single file all the way back. About the top 10. Best battle now for positions going on between Jeff Goodpaster in the 33. He slides up the racetrack. Darren Ingram the second. Going to make a pass there in that Darrell Waltrip throwback, the number 24 car.
Oh, Matt
Romero,
Watkins just got walled.
and he's going to lose a couple of spots there. James Moore gets around him. Nick Gunther gets around him. Here comes Ryan Lusk. That's a beautiful paint scheme, that 83. Throwing it back to Lake Speed. Oh, we got a wreck.
Oh, we got a car.
That is Greg Lavelle. Texaco 088, and also the 55 of Mike Murata collected up in that one as well. Cautions out for the second time here tonight at Darlington, and I only saw the tail end of that spin, but it almost looked like Greg might have been all by himself. Don't know if he got help or not. But we'll go back and take a look at a replay in just a moment here. We ended up, I believe, having a lead change as well that we missed out on. Alex Moe and Randall Coleman got around the 43 of Peter Spintana, so Moe's going to be the leader when we go back green here.
So, taking a look at it, looks like we had a similar situation to the first wreck. Just got a little too low, and then it just spun him out, and he just got AWOPed by the 71 of Romero.
It was around where we were looking. Oh, yeah, wow, that thing just completely sideways there. And then clips the 55 of Murata. It's interesting because I remember back to a video clip when Fast Truck Series was running here at Darlington during last week. I believe it was Oscar Ramos posted a video where he was able to run with all four tires down below that dotted white line, and he picked up about 2, 3, 4 positions on drivers that were running up above the dotted white line. That was making it work. I don't know if maybe here this evening it's a case where drivers have to either commit to being above that dotted white line or be committed completely below that dotted white line, because it looks like straddling it, at least so far here this evening, it's not worked out for a couple of people.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anybody run below it, but it looks like if don't touch that line. What I'm seeing. And then the 55, he was just running in a high line, and he hit down out of the way, and he got hit.
It's on board with Greg Lavelle. Listen to the car. You can hear him. He realized he was in trouble, got on the brakes. Fortunately for him, Sean Romero was right there on his back bumper, and then maybe didn't wait long enough for the oncoming traffic to get through and clips the 55 of Michael Murata, his Toyota Camry. So, so far here tonight, Murata in the 55, Greg Lavelle in the 088 have both been involved in our 2 early cautions here this evening. Lavelle right now coming down pit road, and we're going to jump back here and see if we can get you a replay of the lead change, because we were focusing on the spin that took place and did not see Alex Moe and Randall Coleman get around the 43 of Spintana. This was a pass for the race lead. Randall Coleman running up on the top side. He's going to cross to the bottom on the 43. He gets around for the race lead, led that lap, and then the following corner, see what Alex Moe does to be able to eventually be the leader under caution. Thomas Filbert gets around the 43 as well. And I believe coming up here into turn 3 is where Alex Moe's going to make the move. It is frozen field, but the caution comes out. Wherever you are running is where you basically race back to the start finish line. Yeah, there's the move. Spin back there in the latter portion of your screen, and Moe clearing Randall Coleman for the lead. So big move there for the 48 car to get up to the top position, and he'll be the one to lead us back to green, which I believe is going to be in this next lap. Yeah, we are going to be going back green here with the lights out atop the pace car on lap 18 of 129. So 2 early cautions here in the going at Darlington, Matt, but not necessarily for the reasons that we would normally expect.
Yeah, just seeing them just barely clip that bottom line, which I've not, in my short time running this, I've not seen that cause huge problems like it is. Maybe you're right. Maybe the CTS picks are messing with it a little more than a Cup Series version would.
Talked about Randall Coleman and that Kyle Petty throwback, the car that he will chase on this upcoming restart. Alex Moe throwing it back to Jimmy Johnson's red, white, and blue Lowe's machine from 2014. And then third place running is the Shane Meal throwback, 23 of Thomas Philbick, throwing it back to 2005 Shane Meal. So a lot of really good throwbacks here this evening. That's a big reason why I love the pageantry of Darlington. It's not just an animal to these drivers, a track that they have to conquer, but then you also throw in the fact that you see all these cool looking throwback liveries here this evening under the lights. It's just why Darlington is so much fun as we get back underway, and the battle's going to be for fifth. Nick Gunther wasting no time, moving up into the top 5 past the 03 of James Moore.
And looking low, at least coming out of 2 was looking low on the 43. Thought better of it.
Top 6 get themselves single file. Here comes Darren Ingram the second. He's going to try and move into 7th. Might try and go 2 for 1 there. He got around Ryan Lusk, and he's going to clear James Moore. There's a couple of drivers, Hendrick-related numbers, that have been able to really hook the bottom well. That 48 of Alex Moe, one of them getting up to the race lead, and Darren Ingram being another. And right now it's looking like that inside line. If you can hook it there and not get loose, that is the way to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Making sure you can actually keep it down there.
Darlington is over a mile in length, but to me, it races a lot like a short track, especially over in 3 and 4. Just saw a move there with Aiden Robertson throwing a block on Matt Watkins down the back straightaway. We already saw here today in the NASCAR Cup Series a driver getting some potential retaliation. Last thing you want to do, only 20 laps into this race, make an enemy and maybe find yourselves in the same position later on in this race.
Yeah, that was definitely some interesting blocking happened there.
Gunther now falling back into the clutches of Darren Ingram. That's going to be for the 5th position as the top 3 are scampering away. Oh, James Moore! 03 hard in the inside wall off of turn 4. Wait to see if that would have brought out a caution or not. No, we remain green. So nice save on the part of James Moore. It drops him back to around the 22nd position. He would obviously be sporting some damage on that left front, but we'd still stay under the green flag nonetheless. Another thing we got to talk about here too, I mentioned at top of the program, is the fact that tires, very, very important when it comes to a track as abrasive as Darlington, and these drivers have a limited set that they are able to take on during the course of this race. So, like back there in the case of James Moore, that's certainly going to heat up those tires. There's not going to be a lot of rear grip available in these next upcoming laps. Obviously, you would love to come to pit lane, take on a new set, but you don't want to leave yourself high and dry with no tires later on in this race in case you get a couple of late race restarts.
And I went back and looked, and just like the Cup race that earlier today, he just went down below that line coming off the corner and went straight down into the inside wall. Fortunately, he bounced off it and kept it going.
Big hit into the outside wall there. Well, maybe not a hit, but a ride for Bill Martin, former winner this season. Going to lose a couple of spots and drop outside of the top 10. Bill Martin, former winner this season at Nashville. Battle on for 6th, I believe this is. Nope, correction, 7th. Ryan Lusk and Matt Watkins. Now Lusk up and into that outside wall. We've already got a number of drivers that have gotten the Darlington stripe. One thing I would have loved to have had here tonight, I don't think we could have wangled it, but would have loved to have had the stripe counter that Fox had today, because we had, 29 drivers take the green. I'm pretty certain that by the end of the night, we'd be at 29 for the counter.
Oh, at least. And then they were calculating guys hitting it like in 3 times. So this series, you could probably get it up like 200 maybe.
Somewhere around that. Man, really wish we had that feature now. Anyway, Ediver Leal right now in the 5th spot. Got around Nick Gunter a couple of laps ago. He's throwing it back to a supercars, V8 supercars team. Trying to remember exactly what the entire team name was. It was the Pepsi Max crew, I know. Oh, wow, big hit there for Peter Smentana up into the outside wall, but little off-road vehicle running here tonight at Darlington. I don't know, what do you think a V8 supercar would look like? A race like that would look like here at Darlington as Philbrick up and into the wall.
The only one I think I would trust for that series, I don't know if he runs it anymore, but oh shoot, I forget his name, but the Australian guy that used to run in the actual Cup series.
Marcus Ambrose?
He's the only one that I would actually trust to make it around the track, because he would know it.
Top 3 get themselves single filed out now. Darren Ingram really charging up here to the front. Keep an eye on him because I think he's been turning some of the fastest lap times here this evening. Last time by, Alex Moe at 29.6, Randall Coleman at 29.5, and Moe with a 29.4. And look at this. Can he get them both? He got Coleman. He's going to get the lap led, but can he clear Alex Moe when they get down here to 3 and 4? He's bringing Ediver Leal along with him. Look at this, double wide, 2 rows for the top 4.
Okay, so that proves to me that if you go below that white line, John Whitehill's spun around.
John Whitehill parked over, and I believe that's turn 3. Looked like RJ Bishop in the 45. May have been collected up in it. Hearing that it might have been some hardware issues bringing out this caution. Sean Whitehill dealing with some graphic problems, so we'll go back and see what happened to him.
Looks like coming out of 2, goes up and hits the wall, gets kind of bumper grabbed by Jessica Shelton, and then is stuck on it, going down into 3, comes down, and just right into the path of RJ Bishop.
John Whitehill was trying to battle for first car 1 lap down to get the free pass. Mentioned about the beautiful liveries on the cars here tonight, but sometimes that can play with somebody's graphics and cause the frames to drop, and that might have been the case there for Whitehill and the 12. That's a tough break there, as it looks like he has brought his car at least to pit lane. Don't know if he's done for the night. Certainly hope not. That's a driver that comes into this race inside of the top 10 in the point standings. And then a pretty big hit there for RJ Bishop in the passenger side door. It's moderate damage though, so should be okay, I would think. Also wonder about the right side damage there on Shelton getting up into that outside wall.
I believe Sean has retired.
We will follow up on that.
No, it just did a weird thing. I see him in his box now.
He might also have potentially crashed his game, which what that does is it allows you the ability to be able to get back onto the racetrack, but it doesn't have you out of the race. So it gives you the opportunity to kind of reset your stuff. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. Obviously, being involved in this wreck, though, he would not be in the free pass position. That would go to the 70 of John Foreman. So he'll be back on the lead lap when we eventually go back green. Number of drivers hitting pit road, no surprise there, as we had, about a 10-15 lap run right there.
Yeah, he's back on the track, just there for a little bit. I had it where it was looking like it was the pit lane 1 cam. So yeah, you might be right. He might have crashed his game, reset it.
We just had pretty much the entirety of the field come down pit road, take on another set of tires. One driver that did not come down pit road was Greg Lavelle, which I understand this strategy if indeed he's going to stay out and lead us to green, because remember, he was involved in the second caution of the night. With his spin, he would have come down, taken on a set of tires. So if he at least tries to keep some track position here and lead us on this next restart. That means it puts him, I'll put this in air quotes, on equal footing with everybody else in the number of sets still available. And now the 48, sure what's going on there with Alex Moe, but he just pulled down driver's left and appears to be falling to the back.
Oh, no, now he's speeding back up. I don't know. Might have had a technical issue there for a second.
So
Now he's
back in
pulled right
line.
back up behind the 088.
Okay, so near scare there, at least for us there with the second place running Alex Moe, but looks like everything is good to go. We should have, well, I thought we'd have the lights out this time. Apparently not. We'll have at least 2 more laps of pacing before we go back green. The foreman did get the free pass. We're going to have 28 of our 29 drivers on the lead lap when we go back green flag racing, and we'll be past the 35 lap mark when eventually we do get the green flag once again. Let's talk about the point standings coming into this race, because still a long ways to go in the season, but we are getting close to halfway through the year as well. Next week, these drivers are going to be heading to Kansas Speedway, but coming into this one, a couple of big names that are not in the field here tonight, including Tyler Mallon, 3-time winner, but Jacob Smintana, who's already had some issues here tonight. He came in the points leader, 17 points over Nick Gunther. 43 points back was Jovan Anderson, who we really haven't mentioned his name here tonight, but he right now is just outside the top 10 in 12th place. Matt Watkins right now in 4th. He's 47 points out, and Randall Coleman, the 2-time winner, 5th in points, 53 points back. But Tyler Mallon, 3-time winner, 6th in the point standings, not in the field here tonight. He was here for practice, not certain why he didn't take the green, but interesting there that he was not on the grid.
The only thing I can figure is he did some practice laps and didn't like what he felt. So just decided, I'm going to put it in the garage for this week. Because from what I'm seeing on the points, it doesn't really look like he's going to take that much of a hit. Might drop a spot or two. I'm not sure how the points work here exactly.
And I believe it's a win in your in system too. So he can afford to not make a couple of starts here during the regular season, having those 3 wins in the bank. Also should mention too, unfortunately I failed to ask this question before these drivers gridded up, but there are stage points available to these drivers. They do have a stage at some point in this race, and the top 10 finishers get stage points. The stage winner gets a playoff point. That obviously could be very important as well between Nick Gunther and Jacob Smintana, with there only being 17 points difference, and Smintana being all the way back where he is right now in the 17th position, Gunther up inside of the top 5. So Gunther could close up the overall points lead here this evening just on stage points alone. But getting ready to go back green flag racing on lap 35, and Alex Moe, he was ready, and I think the reason he jumped to the inside there as quickly as he did, because he knows he's got about 10, 15 lap fresher tires than Greg Lavelle up ahead of him. And caution's back out.
Appears the 25 of Ken Squires is spun out in 3.
And Squires throwing it back to Ken Schrader's Kodiak machine from 1994. Let's go back and see what happened to him.
Oh, there was a stack up a little farther up the field.
Oh, you saw it right there, bottom right of your screen. I think that was the 64 of Toby Roberson that may have been in the start of that stack up. Up there at the front, a couple of drivers kind of anticipating the restart, and I think that just chained all the way back to the middle and eventually rear of the field. Let's see if we can pinpoint the exact moment that that stack up occurred. Was, I believe, Roberson in the 64, was that Shelton in the 94, and Billy Ryan in the 11, where that was all going on. Oh, well, actually, it actually happened further up than that. Ricky Colette and Mark Murata even further up were stacking up. So, I don't know exactly where that stack up was. Maybe it was up even at the very front of the field. Who knows?
from what I'm finding, it looks like Romero and Murata was the initial spot because it looks like 42 gets away fine, but then back behind the 71 they start stacking it up.
Watch this off of 4. They actually stack up a couple of times right there. You've got Collette into the back of Murata, into the back of Romero, and then they double stacked again from Ricky Collette on back. So, yep. Drivers
And then
anticipating the restart there, and that led to the chain reaction stack up, and we didn't get a lap under green there for that restart.
after the Ricky Collette stack up, that's where you saw Brian Lusk and Jessica Shelton stack up, and that's where the 25 Astros got in the back of the '03 and just both of them swinging out of control. Ooh, 70 took a nose to nose hit in the '03 car. Uh, more.
Foreman, who just got the lucky dog to get back in the lead lap. James Moore. Looks like both of them have come down pit road to get some repairs done to their machines. This caution is going to give Sean Whitehill one of his laps back. I believe that after he had his problems, he went 3 laps down, so he should be -2 when we eventually go back green. All 29 drivers that started the race are still running, 28 of them on the lead lap, and we are currently working our 4th caution of the night. That caution was a big break for Greg Lavelle because he only had to lead, what, about a quarter of a lap before that yellow flag came out. So, you know, the strategy call helps him to lead at least a couple more laps here under pacing. But you know that once we go back green, if we get into a long green flag run, those fresher tires behind him, they're just going to eat him up, especially with how the 2 drivers behind him, the 48 of Alex Moe and the 24 of Darren Ingram, they've been 2 drivers that have been really able to carry some good speed on the inside line.
Oh yeah, especially that 24, how he was able to perfectly hook it and not even come up and touch that dotted white line that's pulling a couple other guys out.
See if we can find a couple more throwback schemes to shout out here tonight. A guy that runs a throwback scheme just about every week. Very familiar colors. The Dave Blaney Amoco. I think that's how it's pronounced. I know it's an acronym, but I believe it's
I
pronounced
always
Amoco.
I always pronounced it Amico.
Amico. Okay. I think I put the stress on the wrong syllable. But that, of course, is Jovan Anderson throwing it back to Dave Blaney in the late 90s. That was a scheme that was driven in both the Winston Cup Series and in the Busch Grand National Series. So throwing back to that. Also, let's see if we can find another driver. How about that? The 33 of Jeff Goodpaster throwing it back to Jeff Green's AOL scheme from 2001. I've had the privilege of calling some iRacing events where Jeff Green participated, and that guy can race. That guy is aggressive on the sim, and we'll see if maybe a Goodpaster can channel a little Jeff Green here tonight. Right now, running in the 15th position.
It just shows probably one of those situations where he didn't have as good of equipment in real life, so he. But that 27 right behind the 33 looks like an interesting. I don't really know if that's a throwback because we're going back green.
It is a throwback, and we'll be talking about that Tyler Stallhood 27 during the course of the night as well, as things got stacked up here again around the top 5. Looks like they all made it through, though. Nick Gunther has been really good on these initial restarts, picking up positions. Oh, is that the 36? Aiden Robertson, I believe. No caution, though.
Checking.
Still green. And
Yes,
look at everybody.
Kept going.
Look at everybody trying to get around the older tires of Greg Lavelle. Ingram to the lead. Moe into second. They were almost 3 wide with Coleman and Leal. Now Coleman's going to hang on to 4th. Whoa! Little contact bumper to bumper between the 24 and the 48. And yes, the caution waves again. 5th time tonight. Sure who that was for. Just saw the 45 of RJ Bishop on pit road.
I saw the 39 sideways on the track when I called out caution.
Bill Martin, like whatever spin he had, he was able to continue on. Don't see him stopped anywhere on the racetrack. Well, actually, no, I don't see him at all. So maybe he's Called it a night. Oh, he has. Already down pit road into the garage area. Tough break there for the former winner. Let's go back and see if we can find out what happened to him.
Yeah, just look at it again. Once again, there it is. Just gets 2 tires below that dotted white line, and and there he goes.
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to. So far here
Oh, no.
tonight, the 3 drivers that have had issues with the left front down below the dotted white lines have all been Ford Mustangs. So I think if you're a Ford, don't go down there.
True, and Seth, you better put that crystal ball away. Don't start that
Oh
nonsense.
boy. It works in iRacing. I don't know about NX 2003. Oh man, tough break there for Billy Martin, the 39. Was running up inside of the top 15, was looking for a good points night. Billy comes into this race 15th in points, and I believe it's the top 16 that transfer into the playoffs. Now, granted, Martin does have that Nashville win to fall back on, but certainly wanting to get as many points as he can as well before the end of the regular season. Here's another look at it. It just seems like as soon as they get to the entry of the corner, the car gets unsettled. There's just no chance to be able to save that race car. And
Yeah,
33 of Jeff Goodpaster got a little bit of that as well.
it's from what I'm seeing, it seems like you just have to, if you're gonna go down there, you have to be below that line before you enter the corner, like you were saying. Just
I
as soon as they shit, they're gone.
I know that cold tires would probably come into play, and as mentioned, CTS physics is going to make it those cold tires make the car even looser. But what is it? Is it the transition there going into the corner that maybe lifts the right rear up off the ground so you don't have that right rear to lean into in the bank into the corner? Because it's very consistent. I granted that, but it is a bit of an anomaly.
I did do a little bit of testing before the race, and it did seem like going into the corners, there was a tiny transition. If you hit it in just the wrong spot, it just would send your car like it was a top.
Talked about Goodpaster and that Jeff Green throwback. That's a Jeff Green iRacing-esque wreck avoidance there. I said he got a piece of it. If he did, it was minor. He'll probably have a worse Darlington stripe than he would contact from the spinning 39 in this race. So good job there by Goodpaster as he is going to be up in the 12th position with this caution coming out, and that's where he'll be on the upcoming restart. And let's highlight some more throwbacks. You talked about that 27, so let's talk about Tyler Stallhood in that number 27 Dodge. And this is a throwback. I mentioned that certain drivers are not only throwing back to drivers, whether they be NASCAR drivers or outside of the NASCAR sport, but also throwing back to rides that they previously drove. This was a ride that Tyler Stallhood drove back when he made his very first career start on the Enter 2003 sim. If I recall correctly, he drove this car for DeMario Chambers Racing. A lot of the old school Enter 2003 drivers will remember that name, and he kind of reappropriated the team, reappropriated the scheme, and is piloting the number 27 Coca-Cola Dodge here tonight, throwing back to when he first strapped up in the Enter 2003 sim to make his first ever start. So that's pretty cool. Throwing back to yourself and being able to remember a scheme that far back. I think I vaguely remember the first car that I drove in my 2003 career. I think it was the either Josh Wise or Michael McDowell. I think it was Michael McDowell back when he drove for Phil Parsons Racing. It was the 98 K-Love machine. Drove that in a super speedway race for my first ever online start.
And of course, I I don't even have to go that far back. I just have to go back to not even a year ago, and I ran a old paint scheme for my college of San Diego Christian.
Wonder if these drivers all remember their first paint schemes. I know a lot of these guys have been on the sim for a long period of time. And we're getting ready to go back green. Lap 45 completed. Lap 46 on the board. Darren Ingram going to lead them into turn one. Chevrolets right now holding the top 3 positions. Then the Ford of Leal, and then Chevrolets, Gunther, and Philbrick. Got to go back to Matt Watkins in the 7th place for your highest running Toyota Camry.
Oh, Leal putting it That 24 and '09 car just hooked the bottom really well.
Usually when you go down to the inside, you gain a lot of momentum on the entry of the corner, but then usually have to lift on exit. It kind of has seemed like drivers have not had to do that here tonight. Haven't really seen that kind of famed push-up off the corner for a few of these guys. So maybe a little bit more grip with the nighttime conditions, maybe a little bit more opportunity to get back to the throttle with the lower RPMs and the CTS physics. Alex Moe, though, he sent it down to the inside of Ingram, paid the price as you saw that thing get really tight, almost up to the wall. He loses second and now is under fire for third.
Yeah, for a good portion of the straightaway, it looked like he was going to lose third.
Ingram getting very close to the
Oh,
outside
we have a
wall. Caution.
caution. It's like RJ. Ooh, oh, hello.
Ricky Colette.
Uh, and the 64 Tony Robertson going around.
Robertson, former winner this season back at Phoenix. Nope, correction, Atlanta. And they bring out the sixth caution of the night. Let's go back and see what happened. That was over, it looked like in the middle of 3 and 4. Well, let's in a
Oh,
Ford. I wonder, are we 4 for 4? I don't know.
I don't think it's
one,
going into
actually.
one, and yes, we are 4 for 4.
My goodness. What does Darlington have against the Mustangs tonight?
I have no idea. He just, like I say, went into one, clipping the bottom, and spun it straight out and just barely clipped the back end of the 64. I'm surprised the 11 avoided hitting the spinning Colette.
Yeah, I think we're going to be definitely taking it on board with Billy Ryan in just a moment. This was a battle for 17th at the time. And when you're that car on the outside, it's just, you got to basically stay in the throttle and hope that that car to your inside is not going to slide up before you get around them. That was a big hit there as well to the back of the 64 of Robertson, courtesy of the 70 of John Foreman. And I'd be more concerned about that front end damage on Foreman, because that's going to hurt aerodynamically, and of course that's where the engine is housed as well. Don't want to have to deal with engine damage. And you talked about it, that great avoidance by Billy Ryan in that
Yeah, you're
throwback
gonna.
11 car. Let's ride on board with him for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He avoided both cars.
Double wide ahead of him. Next thing you know, both those cars. One sideways, the other one sideways. Man, I mean, the avoidance was pretty clear there on Colette, but how he didn't hit the 64 of Robertson, I'm not sure. And you saw right there, was that Ryan Luskin, the 83, that was able to get down on the apron and avoid all of that calamity as well.
Yeah, just barely. Both guys just. I don't know how they are getting this. Like,
Caution out
is
for the 6th time tonight. And we talked about this, and it's pretty prevalent. Yeah, you want to race the competition, but you've got to race this racetrack as well. It doesn't have two monikers, the Lady in Black and the Track Too Tough to Tame, for nothing. I mean, this track has earned those monikers.
Yeah, and I mean I'm just waiting for that '09 to spin it out because he keeps going below that line. And just one time you lose the concentration for half a second going into turn 1 or turn 3, and goodbye.
Well, last week we saw the caution fly at Dover for a total of 5 times. And I kind of felt that last week at Dover, it would kind of be the same here today. You go into a track like the Monster Mile, you know it's going to be a tire conservation race, and that race went into some very long green flag runs. I think here tonight, if it weren't for the issue of seeing those cars get the left front down below the dashed lines, I mean, that's brought out 4 of our 6 cautions. Let's remember that. I mean, it hasn't been like these guys have absolutely annihilated each other, overdriven the corner, slammed into each other, door banged each other. It's just been those slight mistakes, and we're still trying to figure out what's causing them to have these cars spin around. But I think these drivers came into this race with the same mentality that they did last week at Dover of, we've got to race the racetrack and preserve our tires. We'll try and see what we're like for the long run and pick up positions then. To be perfectly honest, if we hadn't had what we've had here tonight with the little bit of mysteries there of drivers getting loose on entry, I think we'd only be 2 cautions into this race and have a couple of long green flag runs. So we'll see if drivers are able to make adjustments, but when you've got the run, you've got the momentum, and the lane is there, you certainly want to take it, and I guess it's just a case of praying that it sticks.
Yeah, especially for like you mentioned, especially for the Mustangs. The From what I've seen, the Chevys and the other cars don't seem to be doing that as much. There's just something in the Mustang body kit seems like doesn't like that bottom like that.
Well, don't tell Utterer then that, because he's been running the bottom, and he isn't a Mustang. Right now in second place for this restart behind Darren Ingram, and tried to time that restart. Peek to the inside, continues to look low there, and here he comes. He's going to get to that left rear quarter panel.
Oh, he is definitely there. Oh,
Couldn't
oh,
clear off of 2, though.
got a good battle. Oh, 48. Looked 3 wide for a second, but thought better of it.
Yeah, you can't fit a
Oh, and
car
he's
into half a car length of space. And Ed Owl, new race leader, and cautions out again. This time it's Aiden Roberson, 36, over in turn 4. I don't see any other vehicles in the vicinity, so it may have been a solo car spin, or it may have been just the case of contact and he
oh
being the only one
nope.
that went around.
No, I'm looking at it. He did not see the O3 king until he was like in the O3. I don't know if the O3 blinked or something, but the 36 hit the back of the O3 and just that's what sent him up in the wall and swing.
Ooh, yep. Turn
Oh, and
3.
then
Oh, yeah, Foreman.
yeah, Foreman just hits him again, and that Michigan Wolverines number 70 just cannot avoid the back. Like
If I
he's trying to
remember
play
correctly,
football with race cars.
I was going to say the Wolverines have a pretty good football team, right? So maybe Foreman's playing the part of fullback tonight.
I don't know if that's a good idea at 180 miles an hour, or whatever they're entering the corners at
Take
with a
another look
race
here
car.
with the 36 and turn 3. I mean, turns 1 and 2 are maybe the easiest corners to take here at Darlington, especially in the early going. You can take those corners flat out, but as the run goes on, turns 3 and 4 a little bit narrower. Obviously, a lot more turn into the corner as they are a shallower entry. A little bit of a
And
story about
oh,
that, which we might talk about, but obviously a
and
little bit more of a braking zone into turn 3, and I think that was the case of the 36 and the 03 having different braking zones.
I just happened to pull in or flip to him as he was pulling into pit lane. Looks like he's had enough fun for tonight and has called it a day.
Aiden Roberson going to finish 28th here tonight. He'll join Billy Martin in the garage area. I believe that the system here for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series is 2 incidents and park, bringing out 2 cautions and park. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the 36, that was his second caution. So that would have
Uh,
warranted him going to the garage area.
I do believe that was his second incident.
Got to bear that in mind here too, because obviously now 7 cautions in, which means that there would be 7 drivers, at least 7 drivers, all right, most 7 drivers that would have caused an incident here tonight, and certainly don't want to cause a second one if you're already 1 incident in to this evening's race. But we are almost to halfway. I think it's going to be what, midway through lap 65, where we would be halfway through this evening's festivities. You're watching Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the 12th race of the season for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series under the lights at Darlington Raceway. Seth Cole, Matt McIntyre bringing you coverage of tonight's throwback event. Edver Leal right now leading this race as we're working our 7th caution of the night. 27 drivers still running and on the lead lap of the 29 that started. Aiden Robertson, Bill Martin, the two back in the garage area. And it's been pretty democratic so far for drivers that have led laps here as well. Matt, 16 laps led for Alex Moe, 15 for Darren Ingram II. Our pole sitters, Peter Smentana, led 11. And our current leader, Ediver Leal, is about to lead his 4th lap of the night. Randall Coleman has also led a lap, and Greg Lavelle has led 9 laps on the evening. So still got a lot of names of drivers that haven't been able to yet get up there to clean air into the race lead. But when we start getting into the second half of this race, I think we're going to start to see them popping up here, because Gunther, Philbrick, Watkins, these guys have all been staying up inside the top 10. And one guy that we kind of looked at, we should kind of highlight here for a moment and have people keep their eyes on, is that 68 of Joshua Moyers, because he qualified 2nd in this race, but elected to disqualify himself and start at the back. And he's up inside the top 10 now, going to restart in 9th place.
Yeah, it had great speed. I'm newer to this. So I don't fully understand the concept of going to the back when you have that great of a starting position, but it works for him.
Drivers
It
so far
seems
that
to have been.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it seems to have worked before for him tonight.
Edver Leal going to lead us down and get us back under green. The drivers so far tonight have picked up the most spots since where they started. Obviously, the 68 started back in 32nd. The 24 right now in 2nd place of Darren Ingram III. He started all the way back in 27th place. And also Jovan Anderson started back in 28th. He's up inside the top 10, restarted 10th position. So good job by those guys avoiding the early carnage, and right now running up towards the front as Ingram.
Battle for the lead.
Yes, indeed.
Oh no, we got a
He
caution.
got the 09 in the left rear quarter panel. Is that going to bring out a yellow? No, it is not, because the 09 was not completely around. Now the caution's out.
71 went spinning behind in just kind of the stack-up chaos.
Oh, and both the JTN cars involved, Ricky Colette and Sean Whitehill.
83 went sliding.
Tyler Stallhood might have been involved as well. 27 was slow leaving the front straightaway. We're going to have to see, but that might have stemmed from drivers reacting to the near spin by the 09 of Ediver Leal. Looks like the leaders right now are waiting for the caution pace car to catch up.
Oh, so.
Here's the contact for the race lead. Ingram drives it in deep. Car gets on that apron, unsettles it, pushes up. Ediver's into the outside wall, and then further back there, yeah, it was, 83 of Lusk and the 71 of Sean Romero. We'll go back and look at that a little bit more in depth. Not sure all this was in reaction to the 09, though, because this was quite a ways back behind all of that. Actually, I think we go back to the middle of 3 and 4. I think the 55 of Mike Murata got up into the wall, and that's what stacked up Romero, Lusk and company. Oh, that's a hard hit into the inside wall for Colette. Oh, and then Whitehill slides into him. And Ricky Colette is done for the night.
I'm looking back, and the 27 was not involved in any of that.
May have been able to get on the brakes, kind of pull a Dale Jr. there.
No, he was in, like, he pitted a lap before they went back green, and he just never caught up.
That was a hard lick there for Ricky Colette. Looked like it was going to be not necessarily a minor hit. It was with the front end of the inside wall, but then Sean Whitehill comes sliding in, and pretty good impact there. And to your point there, if that was the case for Tyler Stallhood, that caution was a big break for him to then be able to catch up to the tail end of the field. And I believe yes, he did stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, he
So
was just coming out of pit road as the pace car pulled off. He's on the backstretch coming up to speed as they're getting going.
he's on board with Ricky Collette. So a big lucky break there for Tyler Stallhood. Oh, Collette on the brakes to avoid the incident. Car snaps loose on him, and there you saw the hard impact from Sean Whitehill as he came sliding in. And as mentioned, that is going to send the 2 car to the garage area, so he will join Aiden Roberson and Bill Martin back behind the wall. Not yet to the halfway point, but the lady in black is starting to take some victims here. The garage area is starting to get full, and I don't know, there may be some others that are going to enter into that facility before this evening is over.
Yeah, it me, it just seems like these minor little mistakes and just people are losing control and just big stack ups.
So Ediver Leal did come to pit lane under this caution. He will be restarting back in the 23rd position. We need to bear in mind, not certain exactly who the caution would have been deemed on. I believe that the 24 would be safe in terms of not having to claim a yellow because the caution didn't come out with the contact between him and the 09. It happened further back. So I mentioned the fact that Darlington in many ways kind of races like a short track. We know Edinburgh's got a fast car. If he gets up here in the same vicinity as the 24 in the closing stages of this race, oh boy,
Something
keep
tells
your
me
eyes
that 20
glued to the screen.
Yeah, something tells me that 24 is gonna spin around again.
There's been a couple of rivalries that kind of sparked in the last couple of weeks at tracks like Dover last week, so we may end up seeing a culmination of those rivalries take place here this evening. And again, maybe not. Green flag getting ready to wave once more. We are nearly halfway through tonight's race. Lap 63 goes back on the board here at Darlington. Ingram, Moe, Coleman, Gunther, and Philbrick, the top 5 going into turn 1.
Oh, we might have a caution in the back. Yes, we do.
And we got a
Edinburgh just
flipper. That's Stallhood.
Edinburgh just went into that corner underneath Stallhood and just didn't go as low as he normally does, so he pushed up, and that sent Stallhood flipping.
And that black smoke underneath the hood of the 27 Coca-Cola machine, that throwback, that is a sign of evening over. Tough break there for Tyler Stallhood, as we'll go back and take a look at the incident that you described. Well, Ediver went up and over as well in the 09, 2 flipping cars off of turn 2.
On. Oh, he did. Holy moly.
Wow. Sean Whitehill could barely see his car back there as he was sandwiched into the outside wall. And I'll have to get another look at it here. Obviously, different accounts can have different views, but I don't know. That almost looked like it could have had a slight case of gap whack. It looked like there could have been a little bit of space between the left rear quarter panel of the 27, the right front of the 09. Granted, the 09 definitely did push up, but might have been a little bit. Well, actually, you know what? This is NR. This isn't iRacing. We could call it netcode.
And that might be, but from what I'm seeing, just the 09 didn't enter the corner as low as he normally does. Normally, he's all the way 4 tires under that dashed white line that starts going into the corner, and he was right next to, if not partway in, the rear quarter panel of that 27 when he finally lost it.
Right on board with Sean Whitehill. See what he saw. The JTN Ford Mustang, and Got a pretty good slap to the right side of his machine, but he got the least amount of damage and certainly not nearly as wild a ride as the other two involved in that incident, able to continue on. I don't know if we mentioned this, but a couple of cautions ago, Sean Whitehill, who was as many as 3 laps down, has gotten enough laps back that he is back on the lead lap. So good on him. He's now in the lead lap, still running, and has an opportunity here with what seemed to be a bit of a race of attrition in the last 30, 35 laps to pick up some positions here. And Matt, we had ourselves a little bit of a split decision of drivers that came to pit road and drivers who did not. Like the top 10 drivers elected to stay out. Race leader Darren Ingram and company came down pit road, and they'll be restarting 11th on back. So as we get into the second half of this race, now we start to see the tire strategies come into play.
And now we'll really see how good that 68 car is now that he's, what I assumed the race lead on the crazy pit stop strategy.
I believe that Joshua Moyers, yeah, according to what I'm seeing here, he has only been to pit road once during the course of these first 66 laps. So he's got quite a number of sets of good years waiting for him on pit road. Jessica Shelton is going to line up in second place now. John Foreman is third. Greg Lavelle fourth. Tony Roberson fifth. Then Michael Murata, Ken Squires, James Moore, Ryan Lusk, and Sean Romero. That is the current scored top 10. Those drivers stayed out and will be the top 10 for this upcoming restart. Darren Ingram will restart back in the 11th position with Alex Moe, Nick Gunther, Randall Coleman, and Jovan Anderson completing the top 15. As suspected, 27 of Tyler Stallhood. He was on pit road. They tried to see if they could get that thing fixed, but too much terminal damage. They pushed him back behind the wall. So 4 drivers now in the garage area. 25 drivers left to finish out this race. Still another half of this race left to run here this evening. And while we got the opportunity here on the back straightaway, let's shout out another throwback. Jessica Shelton, that 94, the Dodge SRT Dodge Charger. That is throwing back to Bill Elliott 2005, where he actually subbed for Jeremy Mayfield in the Watkins Glen race in the Cup Series, the Nextel Cup Series. So a bit of an obscure throwback there that maybe not many people would remember, but right now in that second position, she has been involved in a couple of incidents here tonight, but the car still looks relatively clean and going to be having some good starting track position here right behind the 68 of Joshua Moyers, who gets us back underway here tonight.
Oh, we got some cars in the back, already looking too wide.
James Moore trying to pick up a spot on Tony Roberson, backs off going into 1. And if you're that 24 of Darren Ingram, you see him, Alex Moe and company, you've got to be what I call aggressively patient. You want to pick up the spot, but at the same time, you got to remember that these guys are on older tires. They're going to have different braking zones, and you don't want to take yourself out of the race, taking out somebody that might be just a little bit slower than you.
Heck, because then you peeled down for being way overly aggressive when you didn't need to be.
Alex Moe.
Oh, going to the...
Gonna add a little bit more red paint to that outside wall. And harden the wall further back. That was Jovan Anderson and Ken Squires getting together. Somebody just looped it off of turn 2, I believe. Sean Whitehill in the 12, but no caution.
Something must not be right in that 45 because he's back on pit road again.
Another unscheduled stop for RJ Bishop. He's been down pit road a couple of times here, this time under green, so he is going to fall at least a lap down, and Shelton may have gotten the wall off of 2. Foreman jumps to her inside. Greg Lavelle looking to do the same, and here come the fresh tires. The 24 of Ingram, 3 wide through 3 and 4.
That's a brave move at Darlington.
It worked. He cleared Lavelle and Shelton, and now moves his way up into the 3rd position. Sets his sights now on John Foreman in the 70 car. The guy he's got to worry about is the 48 of Alex Moe. Those guys right now on the freshest tires. 3rd for the 24, 5th for the 048.
Yeah, you can really tell the difference between those fresh tires and, oh, 48 to the outside of the 24 and clears him.
How about that? I'm not sure if that was a case
Ah,
of Ingram moving over and letting the 48 by, or if the 48 kind of used the 70 as a drafting partner and was able to draft his way by the 24 car.
that definitely seemed like a draft power move to me.
Now Alex Moe says, thank you very much, John Foreman, for assisting me to get the lead. Now he'll move on by for the second spot. Those two drivers on fresh tires have made up some good ground. You got to go all the way back here to around the 8th position. That's where you find Nick Gunther in the 56. He's the third
Oh,
highest driver on fresh
we got a
tires.
spin.
Oh, is that Lusk? Randall
No, the,
Coleman,
71 Romero. Oh, geez, big wreck.
55 of Marcus Murata.
83 just clobbered 71 and went flipping himself, and his motor's blown, so he's
Well,
done for the day.
a Lake Speed throwback of Ryan Lusk. Black smoke trailing from underneath that machine. There is Coleman, last week's winner. I believe that the incident started between himself and the 71 of Romero. There's Romero. Napa Chevrolet. Let's go back and see what happened here. It's going to be
Oh,
the
hold
10th
on.
caution of the evening here at Darlington.
43 of Peter Smetana looks like he got into the 71, which is actually what spun the 71.
Hannah started on the pole here tonight. Led the first 11 laps of this race. This was right back around where we were looking too.
Uh, 5 for 5, except this time it was the 71 that got spun instead of the Ford of the 43.
Well, I'm also wondering too. Romero was trying to get to the inside of Shelton, and then Smetana kind of stuck his nose down in there. I'm wondering if maybe there just wasn't enough room for 3 cars going into the entry of that corner.
Yeah, looking at it again, yeah. 43 looks like he went for it at the last second and just couldn't get below that line. They just pushed him up into the back quarter panel, the 71, and then 9 car just had nowhere to go, like, on the brakes, like, "Oh, no."
Well, he got lucky though, did Randall? Oh man, Lusk never was on the brakes. It doesn't look like he came flying in and eventually went flying as a result. Big hit into the driver's side door of Sean Romero. And we're
There's
going to be
a
taking an on board with the '09 of Veta Leal. I noticed he just barely slipped his way through there.
there was a little bit of slowdown, but not near enough to avoid catastrophe for Lusk.
Lusk was running about 10, 12 cars back from where the contact took place.
And by the time he slowed down enough, he was going
Ooh,
170, entering the corner
yeah, you
and
could see
hit
he was
this.
slowing.
Yeah, he hit the 71 at 123-ish. But he tried, just not enough.
Yeah, he was definitely slowing, and I know that for certain here at a track like this, you can't slam on the brakes because if the driver behind you isn't aware, then that's just going to stack everybody up. So it looked like definitely Lusk was doing what he had to do, slowing the pace enough, but keeping the forward momentum so that way it didn't cause incidents further back. I am a little bit wondering about that 71 of Sean Romero. Usually it's driver etiquette where when you spin out, you hold the brakes, try and keep the car in one specific area so that way oncoming traffic's able to avoid you. And it kind of looked like Romero turned the car back up the racetrack. Again, I've not tested here tonight. I haven't gotten into one of these cars. I don't know what it's like when the car is spinning, but just based on the initial look there, maybe Romero could have done a little bit better of not having his car being a moving obstacle for the oncoming driver. It says this is on board with Ed Leal. Look at that. Split the gap between Randall Coleman and Sean Romero.
Yeah, and even when I tested this track, I didn't test it in the server itself, so maybe their setup's different than what the base game has.
I mean, maybe the brakes just don't take as well as they might because if you go back to the spin that Ricky Colette had off of turn 4 when the incident was taking place ahead of him. It snapped his car around and he spun to the inside wall. So maybe a case here tonight where the brakes just don't take as well as they should. And so when you get on the brakes to stop the car from sliding around, may actually not work as well as you would like. So obviously, we're
And
not driving the 71 car, so we don't know the efforts that he put in to make sure that that car was staying out of everybody else's way.
yeah, I'm just going based off, like you said, we don't know how this Darlington track runs with these cars, but going to what you guys normally run in this series, that might have been a case. Thought he had it wound up enough and just cars lit up.
Lap 78 is when we will go back green, be our 10th restart of the night. Alex Moe leads us back to the start finish line with Darren Ingram in second, John Foreman third, Tony Roberson and James Moore. That was the top 5. That caution was, I think, a big break for Nick Gunther because he was kind of mired back with traffic that was on older tires. Now they're bunched up here again, but trying the top side on James Moore. Moore gonna push up the track. Gunther gonna look to cross him over. Up ahead of them, Tony Roberson. Oh,
Oh, and
caution's
the
out
caution's
again.
back up.
So it's gonna be frozen once more,
Oh,
and
Jesus. 71, 83 again.
83 got back out there
25.
apparently. I thought he was done for the night, but they got that
I
fixed.
I could have sworn the same thing.
Ken Squires, 94 Ken Schrader throwback. Now he's got black smoke trailing from underneath his Chevrolet. RJ Bishop had, I believe, gotten the lucky dog under the last caution, was 1 lap down. He might have been involved in this one. Something up in the wall. Maybe he was just trying to slow up for the incident, but he was involved in the wreck, then he would not be in line for the free pass. If he was not involved in the incident, he would be the lucky dog once again. We'll go back here to turns 3 and 4, and again, more cars taking flight here this evening.
Yeah, this time I'm looking at it in the 25. A Chevy this time.
No, it's not just the Fords.
So it's confirmed it is not just the Fords.
Ryan Lusk came flying in there. And Ken Squires go up in the air. Sean Romero's been a tough night for that 71 car. He's been involved in, by my last count, at least 3 of the cautions here tonight. And if the 83 wasn't done for the evening before, I think that shot's going to take him out of the race now.
Yeah, there is no way.
Like also the 088 of Greg Lavelle. He was not involved in the incident, but he has just now gone back to the garage area. Didn't get into the 25. That's him right there behind Ken Squires. So he didn't cause the incident. Not certain why he's out of the race. Oh man, that is a hard impact
Ooh,
for both the 25 and the
good
83.
grief.
And yeah, it appears that Lusk's car wasn't even able to make it back to pit road. He is officially done for the night.
Yeah, that was 120 mile an hour difference when they made contact. So no wonder it looked so crazy. And then, because then it also pushed both cars back into the already spinning out 71 from the earlier contact. That's what killed the 25 and 83.
We're getting close to 40 laps left here tonight at Darlington. 11th caution of the evening with 2 more drivers back in the garage area after this one. That brings the total currently up to 6. Have the feeling the lady in black's not done with these drivers yet, though, as Alex Moe continues to show the way. He now, leading the last couple of laps, is at the top of the leaderboard for most laps led here tonight. 2 laps more than Darren Ingram, 23 laps for the 48 and 21 laps for the 24. But I've got a feeling these two are going to rekindle what's been a good battle between those two for the last 50 laps or so as soon as this green flag drops again.
Oh, yeah. Does this game have, for some series, have auto resets? Because the 25 is back out with a repaired car, and
So
I thought he was.
it does not have auto resets, but there are occasions where a car may be smoking, but not necessarily done for the evening. Obviously, it's going to have engine damage, as kind of exemplified by the fact that you're trailing smoke, but they are able, with moderate damage, to sometimes repair the race car, get you back out there, and you can just log some laps. So that was the case of the 83 of Lusk after the last caution, and the case of Ken Squires here under this yellow flag. Now, obviously, if you take another hit, your night's probably over, but it is possible with moderate damage, even though you've got black smoke trailing, that you may not necessarily be done for the night. So, lucky opportunity there for Ken Squires, and now he'll kind of take on the vulture role and try and pick up spots if this continues to be a race of attrition.
And I truly have a feeling the fact that we're as many laps in as we are, and we've had this many cautions. We're,
Darlington is a difficult racetrack, and as we mentioned, it's a difficult racetrack to pass at. We have seen drivers be able to make it work, but I think it too, we've seen drivers in the first half of this race be a little bit more lenient in the room that they offer when the passes are being made. That room is going to go away the closer we get to this checkered flag.
oh, especially once we get under 10 laps to go, it's practically going to be gone at that point.
Green flag back out over the hood of Alex Moe. Darren Ingram in second, James Moore in third. Remember or make that Tony Roberson in third. Remember that 64 is on older tires than the three drivers around him, including the 56 of Nick Gunther, who's going to jump to the inside for third. Darren Ingram ahead is going to jump to the inside for the race lead.
These guys scare me when they enter the corner right around that line.
Watch out for that 09. I noticed him down there around that white line. Ediver Leal trying to get back up to the front. Currently, last time I scored in ninth. Oh, blocked down the back straightaway. What is it Matt Watkins has to do to not get blocked? He got blocked earlier tonight by, I think it was the 36. That time he got blocked by the 43 down the back straightaway. But Watkins, who's been so close so many times. Go back to last week. Mentioned about the whole controversy between Dunn LaPrade and Randall Coleman. Well, Matt Watkins was battling on the outside of Dunn LaPrade off of turn 4 to try and get the checkered flag. Contact between him and the 74 sent him up into the outside wall. I think he finished that race back in the 6th or 7th position, just a few hundred feet away from picking up win number 1 in the season. So this guy is hungry, and he's been close so many times this year.
And crazy battle up for the lead. The 24 on the outside of the 48. 48 clears him for now. These two cars are looking really fast tonight.
And they're both looking kind of equal, too. It seems like once they get alongside of each other, neither one gives an inch. Again, Ingram able to go about a full groove lower than Alex Moe. Can he get the run off the corner? Yes, he does. Gets at least halfway across. Oh, caution's out, though, so that stalls all that momentum going into turn 1. And it's Billy Ryan around on the front straightaway.
But going back to your point, it makes sense because it's the 24 and the 48.
It does. It really does. Billy Ryan brings up the caution for the 12th time tonight.
Oh, no. Something happened up ahead of him.
Saw some other skid marks there on the inside of the front straightaway, but we've had a number of spins off of 2 and 4. It's hard to tell if those are skid marks that are there from the incident or from a previous incident. I'm seeing some close quarter racing between Philbrook and Smetana. Let's see if that's where it was.
Yeah, that's where it looks like it was.
Hannah up the track. Oh, it's a Smetana sandwich for Philbrook.
Yeah, but the 42's far enough away. It's that line affected the 23 again. It's that stupid line again. 23 pushed up and just sent the 43 up into the wall.
Cody Luke going
Oh,
around off the nose of Billy Ryan, Randall Coleman, Joshua Moyer's getting together, Mike
you're gonna
Murata.
need to do an onboard with Joven because he just barely avoided that 43.
Jessica Shelton, RJ Bishop got bits and pieces of it. Let's take that on board with Jovan Anderson, who just sneaks his way on through. Got
I
a front
mean,
row seat of
God.
that 3 wide ahead of him, too. Here's from inside the 93 car. Wow. A little bit of contact there, maybe to the right rear. Kept it pointed in the right direction.
Oh, and Jess's involvement in the accident was a little bit after the fact. That shouldn't have happened. The 55 and 33 were going through trying to avoid the wreck and just got together. 55 spun up in the wall, and then Jess and RJ both had nowhere to go.
Side swipe there
From
with
what
the
I'm seeing.
55 and the 33. That's kind of weird that the 55 snapped to the right like that. Might be something to do with the hit boxes. That's some more front end damage for the Napa Toyota of Michael Murata, throwing it back to Michael Waltrip's 2006 Napa scheme. Doesn't look like anybody out of the race though with this caution. We do have a couple of drivers that were up at the front that apparently elected to come to pit lane, most notably the 048 of Alex Moe. He dove onto pit lane. Looks like he's going to restart back in 12th. So Darren Ingram will be the race leader. Nick Gunther lines up second. Matt Watkins in third. His teammate Tony Roberson behind him in fourth. And Edinburgh Leal back up there to that fifth position. And just to remind everybody, if you're just tuning in, there was some contact between the 09 and the 24 just before the midway portion of this race. Sent Edinburgh up into the outside wall. He dropped towards the back, and we were wondering if he gets up here to the 24 car, would there be a little bit of payback? So there's only 3 cars separating those two here, and we still got a long ways to go. A little under 40 laps still left, so plenty of time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get those guys nose to tail, 5 laps would be enough time for something to happen.
Well, it's been a tough night for the JTN cars. Ricky Collette out of the race. Sean Whitehill still soldiering on the lead lap, but last car on the lead lap right now in the 22nd position. I want to remind everybody that JTN's going to have the call here for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series on June the 5th at Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway, so be sure to tune into that one. We're bringing you coverage tonight here of Darlington. Of course, Andrew Miller, top dragster, has been bringing you the races that JTN has not been broadcasting this season over on his channel, but due to some work scheduling conflicts, looks like at least for the time being, his Sunday nights are somewhat occupied, so we're stepping in here tonight to bring you this throwback race, which has been very interesting to say the least, and still got a little ways to go here before that checkered flag waves as we're back under green.
Single file so far to about 5th, and looks like you got the 09 of Ediver and the 03 of James Moore side by side.
That got stacked up there too. It looked like Roberson couldn't rotate through the center of the corner, got tight. That gives the 4th position to Ediver, and now here comes the 3-time winner, actually correction, 2-time winner, Jacob Smetana, who was involved in one of our early cautions tonight, has had to really slowly work his way back up to the front as Bill Ryan got the wall back there around Thomas Philbrick. But a nice recovery for the 42, last time by in 7th. 2nd place under contest, Matt Watkins, Nick Gunther.
I just hooked the bottom nicely around that corner.
Caution. 12th time tonight the yellow flag waves, and this time RJ Bishop, and looks like Jeff Goodpaster off of turn 4. Bishop had just gotten back on the lead lap under the last caution.
RJ just that line is okay. Yep, it's confirmed. That line is affecting everybody because RJ's Toyota just went in just straddling that line and pushed up and going to 33.
So it's gotten Fords, it's gotten Chevys, it's gotten Toyotas. Trying to remember outside of Tyler Stallhood if anybody else is in a Dodge tonight. Oh, Shelton's in a Dodge, and she hasn't had an issue with it yet. So at least so far, Darlington's playing nice with the Dodges. But to your point, I gotta wonder here too. I was thinking about this early on, and I'm gonna just bring it up now. Imagine that you're in a situation where you can use that line to try and make a move, whether it be into turn 1 or into turn 3 on the final lap to win the race. I mean, the confidence level to be able to make that move has got to be low with the number of spins that we're having here.
Yeah, like I say, the only two cars I've seen be able to successfully do that, and even they, I think, had a problem or two, is the '09 of Ediver and the '24 of Darren. Sorry, I'm still getting used to these names. Up, up in the lead. Ooh.
My car
Uh-oh.
got a little piece.
Well, Seth, we've had some pitch strategy, and we've got an interesting scenario now. The '09 is right behind the '24.
Interesting. Let's run on board with Randall Coleman. Got a little bit of this. Randall's been mired back in traffic. Got 2 wins on the season to be able to fall back on for a playoff position, but Darlington here tonight has not been kind to that Kyle Petty throwback.
Oh,
As of
never
right
mind.
now, he is scored in the 18th spot.
Oh, never mind. The '09 pitted.
09's coming down pit road. Maybe, potentially, for the final time tonight. We'd be getting within that window, I think, where drivers would be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel. And some drivers between now and I would say 20 laps to go, 15 laps to go, would probably be coming down for potentially their final pit stop of the night, their final set of tires.
Hey, I wouldn't try to run this far on this set of tires because we've seen what fresh tires do. Just look how fast this '24 got back up into the lead.
Absolutely. Well, before we end up forgetting any of them, let's go through and highlight the rest of our throwback cars here tonight. Got Matt Watkins. We've talked about him quite a bit here this evening. Obviously, Matt, this is, I'm sure, a scheme as a Gordon fan you appreciate. Throwing it back to Jeff Gordon's all-star race scheme, the Jurassic Park T-Rex from 1997. Little strange to see that scheme on a Toyota, but, I don't think the manufacturer matters. That's just a cool scheme, whatever manufacturer you put it on.
Oh yeah, but that's unfortunately I didn't recognize that scheme, but that explains why. As I
And you
didn't really
call
start.
yourself a Gordon fan. Come on.
Well, okay, I didn't start watching till '01, and even initially I was an Earnhardt fan for 199 and three-quarter laps.
RJ Bishop in the 45. He's had an interesting race in the Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2015 throwback car here tonight. Another Chevrolet car scheme that's on a Toyota. I believe. Nope, we do have one more throwback, and that is the 03 of James Moore. Talked about Tyler Stallhood throwing it all the way back to his first Enter 2003 start scheme. Well, James Moore doing the same, but he's throwing it back to the first time that he took part in a Cup Series race here under the Fast banner. Right Now he is back in the 15th position for this upcoming restart, which takes place as soon as that 24 gets onto the accelerator. Green flag back in the air. It's going to be Ingram. Jacobs Montana now up into the second spot. Alex Mojo and Anderson and Peters Montana. That was the top 5.
Hey, don't count that 93 out. He's just been silently lurking all night.
Melvin Anderson coming into this race third in the point standings. He is one of 4 drivers that has finished up inside the top 10 in 9 of the 11 starts this season. The other ones being Nick Gunther, Matt Watkins, and Tyler Mallon. That streak from Mallon will come to a close here tonight as the 3-time winner was not in the field. Montana got up into the outside wall, got him a little bit loose, and that brings Alex Moe to his back door for second place.
'48 and 24 are really pushing that low line. It's worked so far for him. I'm just waiting for that one time that it doesn't.
3 wide further back, just inside the top 10. That was Gunther, Foreman, and Watkins. Gunther's going to win out on that exchange. He'll move up to 9th. Watkins into 10th, and Foreman will lose a couple of spots from 9th now back to the 11th position.
Has he pitted? Because I wonder if he's still on those old tires while he's losing so much ground as the 68 just blows his doors off in the corner.
Also remember, there's been a couple of wrecks earlier on tonight where the 70 made contact with the front end, so may not be getting the straightaway speed there that he wants. Also might be down a little bit on power with the engine. Randall Coleman picking up a spot there on Michael Murata. That was an exchange for 7th. Of Montana after getting up in the wall. Oh, caution. And, oh, wow, another flipper. This time off turn 4. Was that the 64? Yes, it was.
Yes.
Roberson. RJ Bishop, Billy Ryan in the vicinity there as well. 14th caution of the night here at Darlington. Go back to turn 4. Just outside the top 10, battle between Toby Roberson and James Moore goes wrong. Oh, it looked like to me the 64 got loose on entry before even making contact with the 03.
And I'm also seeing the 03 Clippy that stupid line again. So I think this time it might have been a little bit of the line affecting 03 and, like you said, the 64 getting loose coming down the track a little bit.
I believe the 64 was on older tires, so that would account for the lack of rear grip going into turn 3 as we take another look at it here.
Yeah, he had it saved until turn 4. He came off the wall. I guess I don't know if he was trying to go down the road or not, but he just came off the wall, spun out, and right into the path of the 11.
Bill Ryan gets on the brakes, then he gets a shot from behind by Sean Romero. That shoots him into the 64 and flips over the Penske Trucking Toyota Camry. RJ Bishop slid while on the brakes to avoid. I don't believe he hit anything. John Whitehill was able to make his way by. And going back to your point there about the 64 kind of turning down the racetrack after getting off the wall, Darlington is one of those racetracks where you get up into the wall good and it sucks you in. It kind of will not let you go. It's kind of like an adhesive to your race car. So when you actually eventually do get off the wall, it just turns you way down to the left as you're trying to turn left to get off of it. So unfortunately that put him down the path of others. I saw Ken Squires pancake the right side to get through, but he didn't make contact with any other drivers. So caution waves for the 14th time here tonight at Darlington. We might be getting close to the record on the season for most cautions. Find out as the pit strategy games continue. Because the 24 and the 48, they came to pit road. That turns the race lead over to the 56 of Nick Gunther. Matt Watkins and Joshua Moyer is now going to be the top three in this upcoming restart. We'll wait, obviously, for the results to update, but right now it's showing that Alex Moe and Darren Ingram would restart back in the 11th and 12th position. Jovan Anderson, Jacob Cementana, and Cody Luke all also came down pit road under this yellow. Randall Coleman also. Let's also remember here, too, that with the in-game yellows, there is every chance that we might end up having this race end under caution. And we've run, what, anywhere from 3 to 5 laps under pacing. So while the official conclusion of this race is the end of lap 129, we have a caution come out somewhere past lap 124, lap 125, race may be over under yellow. So drivers have to bear that in mind as well.
Yeah, and that could definitely, as we get closer down to the end of this race, determine ballsier moves of even earlier than we might have expected.
Well, I just looked to see right now the 14 cautions that have flown here tonight at Darlington is second for most cautions on the season. It just surpassed the 13 cautions we had at both Auto Club and Phoenix, but it is 3 cautions shy of tying the most cautions on the year, which was at Nashville Fairgrounds. That was about a month ago. So right now we have not reached the caution record here this season, but there's still going to be rough count 25 laps, I believe, left to go in this race when Nick Gunther comes out of turn 4 and heads into the restart zone. It's Nick Gunther, the leader, Matt Watkins in second, Joshua Moyers in third, John Foreman and Jeff Goodpaster. That's your top 5. Edward Leal, James Moore, Jessica Shelton, RJ Bishop, and Alex Moe are your top 10 here for this upcoming restart at Darlington. Waiting on the flagman, Nick Gunther waiting, now up through the gears, and we're back underway. Watkins with a great jump, looked to the inside, but then backed off going into turn 1.
Didn't want to get down by that line.
Don't blame him.
I don't either.
Edward Leal, he's trying to make a move back there on Jeff Goodpaster. Had to think better, but backed off. Now James Moore dives to the inside of the 09.
Ooh.
Pushed him up the track, 3 wide further back there. That's Moe in the middle, Shelton on the top, Ingram on the inside. They all make it work off of 4.
You got some talented drivers right there. I think anybody else probably would have wrecked right there. Oh, we got a crash.
Caution is going to fly. As we had an exchange for second, Moyer's got around Watkins, and then Goodpaster got around Foreman, and it's the 09. Just moments ago, him getting pushed up the racetrack there by James Moore, and Cody Luke around on the back straightaway, the 8 car. That's a throwback. We see it every week, but that's still a throwback.
Yeah, to Junior and that very iconic scheme. Okay, so what I'm seeing with the 09, his luck finally, I feeling it would run out eventually, but his luck finally ran out. He straddled that yellow, bottom white dotted line and just lost it. Going into turn 1, I think?
Yeah, that would be turn 1. Oh, man, big hit there late from Thomas Philbrick in the 23. Looked like Shelton, RJ Bishop, they were involved in that stack up there.
So, and then something happened behind him, the 55 and the 8. 8's already around backwards before he even gets.
That's theoretically teammates, right? Michael Waltrip turning Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's a DEI team meeting.
Well, hold on, don't quote me on that. Oh no, it was 8 went down to avoid the chaos with the 09 and got hit by the regular 9 of Coleman. That sent him spinning. And the 55 was just there and just on the brakes. He wasn't really involved in that, from what I can see.
Look at Cody Luke. Oh, yeah. Trying to avoid the wreck. Boy, I'll tell you what, I don't think we have a camera on the back of the 8 car, but he was driving backwards and avoided the 09. So, man, it takes talent to avoid a wreck even going forward, but when you're able to do it going backwards, man. Waited until he got to the wide back straightaway to get the car turned around, did Cody Luke. Been in and out of the top 10 here during the course of this race. Last couple of cautions we've had, there's been no lucky dogs. We haven't needed to have any free passes because for the most part here, for the last 15, 20 laps, everybody that is still running is on the lead lap. 23 drivers still out there, still soldiering on, a lot of them with damage, but hey, every position is a point. And you look at some of these guys coming into tonight that are down around that potential cut line, like Billy Ryan, James Moore, Jeff Goodpaster, RJ Bishop. I mean, these guys realize if that engine is still running, if that car still has even a little bit of power in it, you're going out there completing as many laps as you can, because if you can even pick up 1 or 2 positions, that's 1 or 2 more points that could be very important into whether you're going to make the playoffs or not by the end of the regular season.
And I can definitely see that because poor RJ has definitely had himself quite a few moments, and like I say, he's still out there fighting for whatever points he can get, and I don't blame him. If that's a if I don't finish one race and that's the end of my championship season, I'm gonna be kicking myself really bad.
So Nick Gunther looking for his first win on the season. The Impact Health Chevrolet Camaro. I'm trying to think. This is obviously not a throwback, but was there ever a car in NASCAR that featured an apple outside of Keselowski's Red Apple Ale? I'm trying to remember if there ever was one.
Was there ever Apple? It's the company, the phone company itself, that might have sponsored a car at some point.
Not sure.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely chance of somebody with an Apple logo.
There was also a Harvick Busch Light Apple car, so I guess that would also count. There's a couple out there that have featured an apple. Joshua Moyer's in that 68. I was told by him that he is throwing back here tonight to the car that he ran last week. So,
So it's not a
and the week before that, and the week before that. There's a couple of the guys that are doing that here this evening. But here we go. 110 laps down. Going to be 19 to go this time by for Nick Gunther, getting us back underway at Darlington. We're getting down to crunch time here. Every caution puts us about 3 or 4 laps closer to the finish, and this is where the drivers earn their money. These are the money restarts.
Oh yeah, that 68 is all over the back of him.
Joshua Moyers,
Pushing him down there.
incredibly enough, I mean, this guy has been a mainstay up at the front, it seems like, every single week, but he, much like Nick Gunther, yet to go to victory lane. Stack up behind them. That was Alex Moe taking it 3 wide. He's going to get around Goodpaster. Now, next up in line is Matt Watkins in the 15. A lot of slicing and dicing here. The fresh tires of the 48. And Moyers is going to take the lead from Gunther, who gets a Darlington stripe off of 2. Watkins moves to second. You're the 68 and you're the 15. You don't want the 48 and the 24 to get clear of traffic, because those guys have shown they can pretty much put their cars wherever they want to, and they've got the tire advantage right now.
Oh yeah, it's almost not even a challenge for those to just stick it, like you said, wherever they want. High, low, middle. As long as there's not a car there.
Mentioned that Moyers, he was slated to roll off second on the grid, disqualified himself in qualifying, started shotgun on the field, 30th position. Might be trying to pull the last to first challenge here. He's Got about 2 car lengths, now make it 1.5. Back to Matt Watkins, who started this race up on the inside of row 2, P3. He's got a rear decklet, though, full of Nick Gunther, and 48 of Alex Moe. He hasn't really forced the issue yet on the top 3. Now he does. Man, that car got loose. I don't know if he had to get on the brakes to avoid sliding up into Gunther, but that thing was all sorts of slideways through 3 and 4.
Yeah, from what I saw, it looked like there was a minor stack up behind, well, with Nick behind Matt. And lucky that wasn't a regular.
Very lucky there. That would have been up at the front of the field. Like the top 3 get themselves spaced once again. Then a bit of a gap back to Alex Moe. There's Darren Ingram in the 24. Right now, Ingram would get the bonus points for most laps led here tonight, as now Alex Moe and Ingram going to both get to the inside of Nick Gunther. That'll drop him from 3rd back to at least the 5th position. We'll see if Jeff Goodpaster can get up there and maybe take advantage of the inside of the 56 as well. Saw a little bit of a bog down there on the 24. I don't know what that was.
Maybe trying to conserve a little bit of fuel.
Maybe clutching, or maybe the transition from the apron to the banking to the racetrack. But for a moment there, I thought he was going to shoot up the racetrack because that car looked very unsettled. Now Matt Watkins going to try and make that 15's back bumper as wide as he can. The fresh tires of Alex Moe right behind him here. Battle going to be for 2nd, and now the caution is out. And this will change up a lot. It's Randall Coleman. That's over, I believe, in turns 1 and 2. Boy, it has been a tough night there for the 2-time winner, Randall Coleman. Sixteenth caution of the night. And do you want to say it or shall I?
There it is again. That's
the line.
Stupid line.
You know, it's a 2 in park for incidents causing cautions. Why hasn't that line been parked yet?
Right?
He's already up to at least 6 or 7, something like that. Good grief. Fortunately, I think that's what, maybe the first time tonight that a driver that's hit that line, though, hit that apron area, that it's been a solo car incident for the most part. When that happens, there's been some innocent victims involved.
Yeah, these guys, I don't know why this track is doing it. Maybe it's just this version, but for whatever reason, these guys need to know that they're going to enter the corner. They need to be a car length below or above that line. You cannot touch it at all.
I mean, that's what post-race interviews are going to be for. One of those top 3 are going to get asked that question, like, what does that line have against you guys?
Right?
I think Randall was trying to make a move there on the 43, and the 43 pinched him down, but that wasn't a block, and Randall, still staying low, gets the left front down below the apron, below that dotted white line, those hash marks, and around he goes. He's come down pit lane, going to come back out somewhere around the 21st, 22nd position, it looks like. Unscheduled, well, not unscheduled stop, but a couple of drivers coming down to maybe get their last set of tires or top off the fuel tank. Looked like Ken Squires was doing that, Jessica Shelton, RJ Bishop. Again, no lucky dog under this caution since everybody was on the lead lap.
I don't know if it's going to be a factor, but with as many cautions as we've had, but I've noticed that 25 in the middle of the is down quite a bit down on power, so I'm just kind of waiting, hoping that if he gets caught by the leaders, he's just able to get out of the way real quick, but just seeing how much slower that car is compared to the leaders.
We've yet to see a long enough green flag run for slower traffic or lap traffic to come into play, and when we do get the green, it's going to be less than 10 to go, so I don't really think we're going to see slower traffic play a part into the outcome of this race. We also need to bear in mind here as well that up to this point, all cautions have been frozen field. The position that you are in when the caution flies is the position you need to be in when you come back around to the start-finish line to begin pacing behind the Toyota pace car. Well, now, as we enter into the 10 to go vicinity, all cautions will be raced back. So bear that in mind, depending on if we have a yellow flag or two between now and the checkered flag.
But just to be on the other side of that, a positive. If we do happen to go green, is there a cutoff point where no matter what happens, the next caution wouldn't end the race? They just finish it out. I know you do that in some of your stuff.
Well, they do run the in-game yellows here, so we are running to the completion of 129. I've been trying to figure out here how many laps they've done under pacing with drivers on the lead lap, and it looks like we've run 3 laps under pacing, so that says to me that these drivers potentially could be racing to the completion of lap 126. From that point on, next flag would end the race. So
I
let's
just
set
didn't
it up
know if this
here.
just didn't know if this series had a dedicated like many laps to go.
Yep, they do. So, Joshua Moyers trying to pick up the first win on the season. Got 2 top 5s, 6 top 10s, 2 pole positions, 7th in the overall point standings, but still wants to have a 1 in the win column. He's got Matt Watkins, another driver that's still yet to win, line behind him in 2nd. Alex Moe, Darren Ingram, Nick Gunther, that's the top 5. As a matter of fact, you've got to go all the way back to 8th place behind Goodpaster and Anderson to find Jacob Spentana, the highest running driver that has gone to victory lane this season. So a lot of drivers looking for their first win, and it could take place here in the closing stages of tonight's Darlington race. And look at them fan out there, 3rd, 4th, 5th place.
Matt did not get a good start on that one. Just so the 68 got a, or either that or the 68 got a ridiculously good launch.
Yeah, but you saw there that Matt Watkins drafted right back up to him and gets a nice run down the back straightaway. He'll look low, not going to make the move here into 3 and 4. Instead, it's going to be side by side between the 24 of Ingram, the 48 of Alex Moe. Give the spot to Ingram off of 4. Third place still under contest. Alex Moe not going away quietly. Jeff Goodpaster putting the pressure on Nick Gunther for the final spot inside of the top 5. Seeing more and more drivers dive down there to that lane just below the dotted white line, taking away the lane that Ingram and Moe have been able to kind of establish. Moyers and Watkins both went down there through 3 and 4 the last time by. Oh, Gunther's into the wall. Comes down in front of the 42 of Jacob Spentana, but they all keep it pointed in the right direction, but Gunther's going to lose about 2-3 positions because of that. No caution. Oh, got a car up in the wall again. That time it's the 42 of Spentana. He hit the wall a ton there off of turn 4 and drops towards the rear of the field. And now another car in the wall. Is that Moore? It is. The 03 of James Moore may have gotten put there courtesy of Ediver Leal. Remember, those two got into it earlier on tonight. So got a lot of drivers dropping like flies right now, getting Darlington stripes, but we still stay green as this time by. Lap 126 goes on the board. We're getting closer to where the next flag would end the race. Battle for 2nd.
I think if they complete this lap, regardless of what happens, it's over. Oh, caution out.
Oh, man. Ooh. I don't know. 1 lap shootout? Is race over? I don't know. We're racing back.
Looks like the 03 spun.
And Moyers wins the battle back to the line over Watkins and Ingram. I think that's race over. I think that was the proverbial checkered flag right there. James Moore, we saw him up into the wall a couple of laps ago. Like he may bring out the race-ending caution. Let's go back and see. Looked like that would have been over in turns 1 and 2. That's where the smoke was lingering as the leaders were entering into that vicinity.
Yeah, and I just took a look at it, and once again. Just this line does not like these cars for whatever reason.
All right, so now the big question is if we were to have two tickers, one that scored how many times drivers got a Darlington stripe, and one that scored how many times we said the two words "the line," which one would win out? I think it would probably be the line. My goodness.
Probably with as many times as this stupid thing is
The line
affected it.
too tough to tame. That's what we need to rename this track. My goodness. Well, question now is this what ends the race? I don't think they've got enough laps to even have a one-lap shootout. That was a close call there by Michael Murata in the 55. Oh, RJ Bishop just sneaking through as the
Oop.
03 migrates back down the racetrack.
Bit of a come together between the 03 and the 09 currently. Because 03 is not very happy with 09.
Well, remember we saw Moore got put up into the outside wall on that last run, courtesy of the 09, and we also had earlier on in the race the 03 get up into the 09, putting him into the wall. So little Darlington tempers flaring there. Pleasantries exchanged between those
Well,
two machines.
well, like you said, this track somewhat does run like a short track, so
It does.
especially in 3 and 4, that tighter section because of the pond when the track was being built.
That time by, white flag was displayed over the hood of the AMD Chevrolet Camaro of Joshua Moyers. And with everything that's happened here tonight at Darlington, I don't find it strange in saying that a driver is going to pull off the last to first challenge start at this race, shotgun on the field from the 30th starting position, and 129 laps later, provided that that engine stays under power, he is going to pick up his first checkered flag on the season. A long time coming there for Josh Moyers as well. As mentioned, he's been close so many times and just come up short. Tonight, finally going to get to close out the deal. And for Matt Watkins, another runner-up finish for him, up there in the conversation late, and maybe the two strongest cars of the evening. Especially they were able to hook that inside line. Darren Ingram and Alex Moe, they're going to have to settle for third and fourth position as off of turn number 4 for the final time. Joshua Moyers, what a drive for him here tonight, and he is going to tame the track too tough to tame this evening. He wins at Darlington Raceway.
This was definitely one of the more chaotic Darlingtons that I've seen. A definitely good job to the 68 car.
23 drivers finishing out tonight's event. All 23 finishing on the lead lap. Did have 17 cautions tonight, so we tied the record so far this season at Nashville. But amazingly enough, all those cautions, the good half dozen drivers at least upside down and flipping, a lot of black smoke trailing from cars in this race, and the fact that we only had 6 drivers back in the garage area, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Especially for, like you said, a lot of the crazy flips we had.
Well, Joshua Moyers saw the congratulatory bump from Randall Coleman, and Moyers now down here on the front straightaway, gets to burn it down this evening at one of the crown jewel races. Darlington Raceway belongs to the driver of the 68. A well-deserved victory. Looking to see, now granted, could have been a couple of pit stops where they repaired the right side, but I don't see a Darlington stripe on that race winner.
Yeah, I don't even hardly see any damage at all.
Drove a good race, a clean race, and comes out with a checkered flag. Big win there for Joshua Moyers, would at this point lock him into the playoffs now.
Now he's going around doing the old
There you
Alan
go.
Kawicki
There's a
Polish
throwback.
victory lap. Good place to do it.
Absolutely. Just don't get a Darlington stripe on the left side of your car. You'll never explain that.
Especially at 75 miles an hour.
So as Joshua Moyers continues his victory celebration here tonight at Darlington, drivers now will be eyeing Kansas Speedway next week to continue on the season. We'll be talking in just a few moments with our top three finishers, Josh Moyers, Matt Watkins, and Darren Ingram. And let's show you the finishing results from tonight's event here. Top five completed by Alex Moe and Jeff Goodpaster. Good run there for Goodpaster. Leading out that fifth position, Jovan Anderson brings it home sixth. We saw Gunther get the wall late, but he'll bring it home seventh, so the top 10 streak continues for him. The other two drivers, Anderson, yep, his top 10 streak continues, and so does Matt Watkins. So those three, be interesting to see which one of those three breaks next. Tyler Mallon was with those three, but he didn't participate tonight, so it's down to three drivers with 9 top 10s this season in 11 starts, now 10 top 10s in 12 starts. Michael Murata, that's a great run there for him, and Cody Luke, who were involved in some late race issues. They get top 10s. And Ed Verlial, he had to overcome a couple of incidents that sent him towards the back. He brings it home with a top 10. Peter Spentana, he started on pole. He gets 11th. Bill Ryan, good run for him in 12th. Thomas Philbrick there in 13th. 14th for John Foreman. And Randall Coleman, tough night here this evening for the two-time winner. He's going to finish in 15th. Also the two-time winner, Jacob Spentana. He's going to finish back in 16th. Jessica Shelton in 17th. RJ Bishop in 18th. Tony Roberson and Sean Romero, they complete the top 20. Sean Whitehill, James Moore, Ken Squires, all were the last drivers to finish. And on the lead lap, and the garage area only had a half dozen drivers in it. Greg Lavelle, Ryan Lusk, Tyler Stallhood, Ricky Collette, Aiden Roberson, and Bill Martin, all DNFing from this one, finishing in 24th through 29th. A big win here for Joshua Moyers. We'll be talking with him in just a moment, but we're going to work from third up to first, and let's talk, if we can, with tonight's third place finisher, Darren Ingram. Hey, Darren, Matt, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
And hard-fought race here tonight for you guys. Certainly looked like this track was out to get you at every turn. Didn't matter who it was, whether it was a Ford, Chevy, Toyota. That line there, that hash mark seemed to really be an issue for drivers, but you seem to kind of avoid that completely, get all four tires down to that inside line. You certainly found something there that you were able to utilize to pick up spots early, but weren't able to really get up there late. So what changed between the early portion and the late portion?
Yeah, I think we just ran out of laps. I felt pretty good about my chances if it went green. I thought me and the 48 were probably the ones to beat to battle it out there. We seemed to hook up on that bottom line, and three and four the best, most consistently. Just ran out of laps there, unfortunately. The way the cautions fell, they didn't fall in our favor, but um, it was fun when we did get going. And really running that line. It's really satisfying to pass two or three guys in the corner on that line. So it is what it is. We'll take a top five.
Obviously, we know that you drivers here in this series are given a limited number of sets for the race. How much did that come into play, especially with late race strategy, as you mentioned, with the timing of those cautions?
I didn't really think about it too much. I didn't really feel that new tires really gave too much, which is really weird to say at Darlington of all places. But even on 20, 30 lap old tires, that I felt like I was still able to hook up and run the line that I wanted. So I really wasn't thinking about it. I was just mostly waiting to get in the fuel window before I made my last stop. And I knew once I was in the fuel window that I was going to pit, and then I didn't plan on pitting the rest of the race. Was going to stay out from there. So yeah, I really wasn't thinking about the tire limit too much.
Now we know that Darlington in the past is usually a track all about track position, getting that clean air to the nose. But here tonight, you drivers didn't run the cut physics. You ran the CTS physics, which a lot of times is more draft reliant. So, did the normalities of Darlington come into play here with the CTS physics, or did you have to approach it slightly differently?
I think you have to approach it differently. In the CTS physics, less power. It definitely is more draft reliant. I really felt like you couldn't really run away from somebody. Like even when you were, the leader in a green flag run, I never felt like I got bigger than like a half second or couple tenths lead. You definitely had the draft is very much an equalizer here, just with the way that the track and the setup were. So it definitely was different, but it's still Darlington. It's still treacherous. You got to, ride a fine line. You could still very much easily lose it there in 3 and 4, especially. I did a couple of times in practice, so it's definitely still Darlington, still difficult, but just difficult in a different way than what maybe you're used to.
Well, we were really impressed with how you were able to hook the bottom here tonight. Seemed like one of the best drivers to do it, make up ground, make up speed, and make up positions. Came so close here tonight to that victory, but still a solid out, as you said, third place here tonight. And now we'll give you the opportunity to thank some people and do some shout outs with sponsors.
Yeah, give a shout out to Joe. I love Joe, old boy Joto. He told me to give him a shout out, so that's why I'm doing it. But no, Randall for hosting this. Great. I've been racing with Randall for years. That Mountain Dew Chevy felt good tonight. Unfortunately, couldn't get it in victory lane, but hopefully next time out.
Absolutely. Well, Darren Ingram brings it home third place tonight at the Lady in Black. Congratulations on a great run. Best of luck next week at Kansas.
Thank you.
See if we can get tonight's runner-up finisher, that beautiful Jeff Gordon throwback paint scheme, Matt Watkins. Hey, Matt. Matt and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, I tell you, not familiar to see you out there in anything but a Funko or a Tetris car, but man, that car looked legit here this evening. You almost got it in victory lane. That caution came out, entered the race under yellow. Had you had those extra 2 or 3 laps, could you have gotten the 68?
Maybe. I was getting good runs between one and coming off two, but he was really, really good at hitting that grip strip in 3 and 4 and getting a little bit of a gap. So I think the race was lost when I didn't take the grip strip behind the 56 on the restart, and Josh got a really good run, and then a caution come out like I swear the second Josh passed me, and then at that point he had the track position. Then it was just going to be an uphill battle to try to get it back.
You talk about the grip strip. We saw kind of a tale of 3 different entries into a corner here tonight. Some drivers not even bothering to go down below those white hash marks. Drivers put all 4 tires down below there, but then we saw a number of drivers kind of straddle the dotted white lines and saw a lot of the cautions here tonight with drivers snapping loose in that particular area. Did you experience that? And what do you think it was that caused drivers to have those kind of issues?
Probably most of them was trying to straddle it because if you there's an insane amount of grip difference there. So if you don't land it right on the grip strip and you straddle a little bit, it just throws your car out of whack and causes chaos. So you got to hit it right, and you got to be pretty right on your throttle, or yeah, bad things happen.
I mean, we've seen week after week, you've been up there in the conversation for the race win. You were side by side off turn 4 last week at Dover on the final lap. Here tonight, up there in the conversation as well. Obviously, momentum's on your side for consistency. I know you want to park this thing in victory lane. So, what's the outlook next week for Kansas?
Yeah, Kansas is a really good track. Had good success there, so hopefully, I swear it's been about 6 or 7 races. We've been right there. It's just either a self-induced issue or something else happened. I mean, it's been close. So at some point, if you're there enough times, it's got to work itself out. Randall said I should change my number to 9, like Casey Kane that got the second places that year, because that's how I feel basically.
Well, man, I'll tell you what, obviously, as mentioned, the consistency is there. So eventually, we're going to be seeing you get one of these checkered flags. So close here tonight, though, but great run, Matt. And now we'll give you the opportunity to do some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, really, really appreciate you guys broadcasting this. You've been running all year, and step aside and do the broadcast here at Darlington. It's definitely appreciated. Congrats to Josh. He drove a really good race, and he earned it. So it's. I feel like we were pretty even, but he made a really good move to get by me, and that was the difference. So yep, appreciate him racing me clean, and thanks to Fast. They've been putting up good stuff this whole year, and Well, it was a lot of yellows, but we all worked through it and got through it. And I think next week will be a little bit better race at Kansas. So looking forward to that.
That's Matt Watkins. He's your runner-up here tonight at the Lady in Black. Congratulations once again on the great run, and yeah, best of luck when we get to that Midwest track at Kansas next week.
Yep, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Go down to Victory Lane to see if we can talk with Joshua Moyers. Best finish coming into tonight was second place. That was early on in the season at Auto Club. Hey Josh, it's Matt and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I got you, bud.
And a great run for you here this evening. You pull off the last to first challenge as well. Started deep in the field, but we observed the fact that that car looked pretty clean there doing the burnout. So you drove a clean race, worked your way methodically up to the front. I mean, talk about that adventure. 129 laps to get there.
Yeah, it was definitely an adventure for sure. At the beginning of the race, I should have started up front because it was definitely a little bit of chaos back there. Um, I know coming off turn 4 there was a wreck right in front of us, and somehow we got out of it unscathed.
Obviously, you've been very consistent this season. Came into this race 7th in the overall point standings, but this victory now to be able to fall back on, does that change the mentality of how you approach the upcoming races for the rest of the regular season?
I think so. Um, you can kind of set your strategy up on just going for wins rather than just trying to get it in the top 10 for the stage break. There was you know a chance tonight, on lap 35 that we could have pitted and helped our track position, but stayed out to get a few extra bonus points.
Yeah, well, you noticed that you were one of a few drivers that only came down pit road 3 times here tonight. Mentioned the limited number of tires that you guys had available here this evening. A third place finishing Darren Ingram said that it didn't really seem like tire strategy played as much as a factor tonight as it might at a normal Darlington race. Did you feel that same way? And was that how you were able to get chunks here under these cautions of picking up track position?
I think so. I think with us running the CTS physics and not having the top end speed, um, really the difference between your speed at the end of the straightaway and the middle of the turn was 20 to 25 miles an hour, and you just didn't really see a whole lot of tire wear. If you if you overshot the turn or something like that, you could heat them up and get them a little upset. But if you just took it easy for a couple laps, you could regroup and get going again.
Well, you had to pass a lot of cars here tonight, but you passed the right car at the right time. You pick up the checkered flag here this evening at Darlington, so congratulations on that, Joshua. And now we'll turn the mic over to you for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
All right. Well, thank you all for broadcasting the event. Thanks for Randall for running a great league. Um, Thank you for AMD Radeon sponsoring the car. Little sad I didn't run a throwback, so I decided to do the Alan Quickie Polish lap there as a throwback. Gotta say hi to Jessica, Kayla, Elizabeth, guys that I work with, and also to my mother. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. This one's for you. So.
That's Joshua Moyers. His first victory of the season takes place here tonight at the track too tough to tame. He wins at Darlington Raceway. Congratulations on a well-deserved win, Joshua, and best of luck next week as we head to Kansas.
Thank you very much.
So as Joshua Moyers continues to celebrate in Victory Lane, I mean, obviously a lot of different storylines coming into tonight, but several more leaving this evening. Several drivers for sure. Not going to be sad to be leaving this facility. On the other hand, some drivers probably wishing that we were going to be coming back here next week. But now we got to focus next week at Kansas Speedway, a wide 1.5 mile racetrack, and that should be interesting, especially with the fact that I don't think that'd be particularly one of those tracks where track position would be key, more probably about long green flag runs and strategy.
Yeah, and it really is just a matter of if there's not another paint line that causing all those problems.
Well, congratulations once again to Joshua Moyers on the victory here this evening, and a great point by him as well. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there here on the East Coast. We still have Mother's Day for about a half hour. I think you've got it, what, over there in Arizona, about another 2 hours, Matt. So, want to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day, and obviously a great race here this evening on Mother's Day. A very unpredictable race at Darlington. We appreciate everybody for tuning in here tonight to our coverage of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. And Matt, once again, appreciate you joining me up here in the booth. It's been a blast.
It was a great experience. Thanks for letting me come up and join you.
Once again, thanks to everybody that tuned in here tonight. More than likely, you won't see coverage of next week's race unless something changes in Andrew Miller, Top Dragster's work schedule. Next JTN race you'll see here will be at Worldwide Technology Raceway, or more commonly known as Gateway, on June the 5th. So be sure to head on over there to JTN and check out their channel. They do some great broadcasts over there as well for some other leagues. And once again, appreciate you tuning into our coverage here tonight on FRN. So for Matt McIntyre, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Happy Mother's Day once again. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.